Was told to actually read the policy. So I did. I work for an office and we have an 8-week busy season with mandatory overtime, 12 to 14 hours a day. During this time, the company agrees to reimburse us for dinner, up to $13 a meal. We just have to submit a claim with our receipts at the end of the busy season. Food options around my work aren't great, so I usually brought my dinner from home. But sometimes I was too tired to cook after a long day, so out of the 8 weeks, I purchased maybe 10 meals. 3 of those meals, I spent $13.50. Going 50 cents over the limit. This resulted in a whopping $1.50 overage, which my manager said it was no big deal and that I could include on my expense claim. He signed off on it and everything. A few days after I submitted my report, head office emailed me saying they rejected my expense claim and that I could resubmit after I removed the $1.50 overage. I wrote back saying my manager was fine with the $1.50 overage and even signed off on it, and they responded by telling me that they do not allow overages under any circumstances, that the $1.50 must be removed or they wouldn't approve any of my meal expenses. They ended their email with the advice that I should actually read the company policy next time. Fine, they were right and I was wrong. So, I decided I'd read the policy very thoroughly before redoing my expense claim. Yes, the policy clearly stated a $13 maximum on purchased meals. Oh, and what's this? The policy also allows a $10 per diem for meals you bring from home. I very happily removed the $1.50 overage and added an additional $300 for the 30 meals I brought from home. I should read the company policy more often. Edit. Some of you are asking if I got paid the $300 and the answer is yes. Many are suggesting the person was sincerely trying to help me out. But I'm not 100% sure because they were so snippy in their email. Also, when we were emailed the meal policy at the beginning of busy season, there was no mention of the per diem and no one else in my department knew about it. Either way, I made sure to thank them just in case they were being sincere and I was just too jaded to see it. Now to the comments. I do the employee reimbursement at my company and I would be gleeful if someone came back with this. In my experience, if I have to make someone edit their report, it's because I literally cannot process the report through the system or if I will personally get in trouble for pushing something through. Good on you for using your resources. OP replied. Come to think of it, this was around the company fiscal year end, so I bet there was added pressure on them not to budge. Hopefully they got a kick out of it or learned they had some per diem dinners they could expense. Great. Was there any place on the form to comment and thank them for helping you get $300? OP replied. Yes, there was and I made sure to thank them. Did they respond? That is awesome way to get the money that is coming to you. Buy a large meal with the $13. Enough for 2 meals. Bring the leftovers home, being in the next day. Claim the $23. That would give a $10 profit. I'm not sure on US food prices, but wouldn't OP be able to prepare 2 meals at home for less than $10 and therefore make a larger profit from the $20 they could claim for the 2 meals? On the other hand, $10 profit for no effort. Sounds like you made a bean counter's life a little easier. All the numbers where they should be and no extra paperwork or explaining things to his boss. As a bean counter, totally agree. Would much rather pay company-approved $300 than put my career, black mark on review, on the line for $1.50 over limit. Definitely read your policies. I spent weeks in a town not far from my parents' hometown when I lived thousands of miles away, and instead of spending weekends in a hotel, I spent the weekends with the parents. Well, if you do that, at my old company you could buy up to a $75 gift on the company dime. I bought my parents a nice $75 gift card each time I stayed the weekend. Win-win. The policy also allows a $10 per diem for meals you bring from home. Did they require you to prove that you had actually brought a meal from home, as opposed to fasting? Receipt from that toilet showing output. And a photo of output. Way to take a bite out of them. Maybe the person that sent the email was trying to help you out, but wasn't allowed to just say you can get $10 for fetching food in from home, right? They might have figured you more than likely fetched it from home as you were only claiming 8 meals in an 8-week period and didn't want you to miss out. Compliance never tasted so good. I hope you informed your co-workers of that policy. I also really hope that you thanked the head office for snarkily telling you to read the policy. OP replied, yes and yes. Good deal. Companies are dumb when it comes to saving money versus following procedure. I was sent to Colorado for training for a week, and we have a $75 a day limit on food. There's no way I was going to go eat out every day, so I bought a week's worth of groceries for like $70. They complained that I'm not allowed to buy groceries but only food at restaurants. Like really? I saved them hundreds of dollars and they complained. Velp, $20 meal and $5 tip thrice a day, every day. They ended their email with the advice that I should actually read the company policy next time. I'm wondering if the person refusing was specifically doing this because they saw how few meals you ate out and wanted you to spot the $10 a home deal. I have never understood why even bothering to send emails over $1.50 and other minute amounts of money is done. This is such a waste of time and it decreases time an employee could spend being productive. I had a boss reject my expense report because I had a $7 food expense for which I had not entered the vendor's name. I had never before had a manager care if we entered the vendor's name. So I don't think the name was required. I said I didn't know the vendor's name. I was on a layover in DFW and grabbed a snack somewhere. The same expense report had my airline ticket showing I was in DFW that day. Didn't matter. I had to enter the vendor's name. So, I googled the food options at DFW and entered a name at random. So dumb. I hated that manager. My last company, one of the accountants tried to screw me out of PTO/holiday time because our client requested I be on site on a day my company usually takes off. That wasn't a problem for me, and my managers approved it. Accounting wasn't happy and took PTO time for the day I actually took off, and refused to give me my 8 hours of holiday. They had no trouble billing the client for my time however. Luckily, my boss went to bat and said I should still get the time off. The fight made it just shy of the CEO's office at a Fortune 100 company before someone points out the time value of the executives arguing over paying one day off, would pay for the day off in minutes. Mandatory overtime and days of 12 to 14 hours on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This has to be in America? I had a part-time job suddenly give me 55 hours a week while in school part-time and was ignored any time I texted my boss asking for reduced hours. Didn't even reduce it when I fell asleep and the client took a picture of me and sent it to my boss. 55 hours a week is insane for a full-time job, let alone a part-time one. I will no longer complain when I work a few extra hours and realize I've done 40 hours that week. Maybe that is what they wanted you to do all along but you could not see them winking. Always nice when a company spends $300 to save $1.50. I wonder if that was their secret way to tell you about that perk because maybe they aren't supposed to be like you can get a lot more money. /DeliciousCompliance Maybe the drone in head office was doing you a favor, worker to worker. If you are in a big company, they likely care more about following the rules and the $1.50 overcharge than the $300. It's quite possible they have to submit the request digitally and it will simply won't allow them to submit a $13.50 request. I have submitted expense reports for thousands of dollars to my company for trips to the US. They pay for everything without any complaints, but everything has to be by the book to the last cent to be approved.